Welcome to the Thornton Review.
The show designed with you in mind. If it's important to you, it's important to us.
Commissioner Kohler ran for office for the first time in 2020 after serving 33 years in the Navy. His career started in Pensacola in 1988 as a hospital corpsman working at the Naval Hospital, and it concluded as the Executive Officer of Navy Medicine Operational Training Command on board NAS Pensacola. His career spanned 13 pay grades from E1 to 06, and he is proud to be called a Mustang for his enlisted time. Kohler received his associate's degree in nursing from Pensacola Junior College and his master's degree from the University of West Florida. A list of his volunteer activities includes coordinating a health excellence symposium for the greater Pensacola area, vice chair of the Escambia County Republican Party, and race director for Rock and Fly Half Marathon and 5K, which brought over $230,000 for the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society. Mike has served on the Escambia County Health Facilities Authority since 2002. The authority has donated $1.5 million to local nonprofits and managed $1.4 billion in bonds for the county. Kohler and his wife are proud to call Pensacola their home. They are both committed to improving the health and well-being of children. They have coordinated or supported numerous road races and triathlons over the past 30 years. They have completed a marathon in all 50 states together. They have 3 grown children and now reside with a pug named Jackson. Hi, I'm Pueschel, Schneier, Executive Producer and Manager of the Thornton Review. Thank you for tuning in. On today's show, we have Mike Kohler. He is Escambia County Board of Commissioners for District 2. So, Mike, it's great to have you on the show. You've been on the show a couple times before, but we never run out of issues with the county to talk about. So, thank you for coming on. Will you please introduce yourself?
Well, thanks, Pueschel, for having me on the show. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. As you mentioned, I'm the District 2 County Commissioner from the west side of Pensacola. If you don't know where District 2 is, pretty much. It has a little bit downtown. And current chairman for the board. So I got till November, and then we'll rotate that out. I think most people know my background. I was in the Navy for 33 years and was the vice chair of the Republican Party here, and then got into being a county commissioner. I've been doing it for 2.5 years now. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. I supported you during your campaign. My son helped with you with your campaign, and so we were all excited to have you.
He learned how to knock on doors. Lots of them.
Yeah, I don't think that was his first rodeo.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Commissioner Mike Kohler, Escambia County District 2. There is no government-funded program that can guide a man's thoughts. Only God can do that. Company can install any type of fence. When you call and mention the Thornton Review, you'll receive a $100 discount on your fence. They also offer military discounts. Vinyl fence, wood fence, aluminum fence, chain link fence. If it has the word fence, Alpha Fence Company can do it. 850-586-8020. 850-586-8020. Thank you for tuning in. We are going to begin our discussion with Commissioner Kohler, Escambia County District 2. So, Mike, thank you for coming on again. It's always great to have a conversation with you. You're just a wealth of knowledge and information for the county. So what better person to ask about what's going on? So there's so much going on that I don't even know where to start. But why don't we start with OLF 8 bids?
Wow, OLF 8's a great place to start, Pueschel, because it was a huge win for the county. That project, if you don't know, it's called Outlying Field 8, right? The county had bought that from the Navy over a decade ago, maybe longer than that. I don't know the exact date, but paid about $18 million for the property. And then we sold a parcel of that to Navy Federal.
Okay.
I think it was a little over $5 million around that. And as you saw, that's turned into a huge economic development for the county. I think they have over 8,000 employees out there now. And then the other 540 acres have kind of been in discussion for long before I even took on the board. And in the last 2.5 years, we had about 12 different contracts from Thornton. Breitland came in to put in. We had some from Fred Hemmer and Beulah Townsend and Tri-West. And, you know, they went from all the way to 30 million to 50 million. And then we could never get to yes. And
Because I think what's important also is what the land is going to be used for.
that's correct.
So that I'm sure that plays an important role. No matter what the bid is, what's the land going to be used for?
That's correct. And the county had put together a DPZ that looked at the land and how to map it out. And that was really good. And the people on Beulah were very active in what they wanted out there. Teresa Blackwell was one of the activists that kind of led that group, and they're a good group of people. But I think they're very happy with where we are today and the price that we got for the land. Now the county will still have oversight if there has to be any change with the master plan, and it would have to come back to the commission to vote on it. But we're in a great place. We got a good contract for $42.5 million with some restrictions. If they don't do something at the 6-month mark, they lose $100,000. That goes up every month after that, unless they walk away. And and I don't think they're going to walk away. I think they're committed to the project.
Okay. So the county bought it for $18 million. How long ago? 20
Oh,
years?
I'm just going to say, 15 years. I
10 to
made it
15
off there a
years,
little
okay.
bit. But, and then,
And it's just sat there for all this time, except for you sold the parcel to Navy Federal.
yeah.
And now you're in a bid, so nothing is set in stone. You just
No,
looking
we
at
did.
it. So you've actually signed
a
the contract.
with Tri-West.
And they have 6 months to do something with it?
They are now in due diligence, which they will go through and look at all the environmental stuff that they need to do. And
And all the improvements, because that land is completely unimproved.
Yes,
It's just clear land.
that's correct. So, and I'm sure they'll get right on it. Mr. Wilson and Chad Henderson are the two that are, Chad's a local developer, does a lot in healthcare. Mr. Wilson's out of Montgomery, Alabama, and has developed some stuff up that way that is fairly impressive. And I'm very optimistic. This is a big win, and we'll be able to pay that lost dollars back, put that 18 million back in loss, which we can use for a lot of different infrastructures inside the county. And we'll still have about $25 million, and the board will have to decide how they want to disperse that on what type of projects in the county.
So is the infrastructure leading to that land already in place, like the roads, the electric, the
That's
water?
not- so there will have to be some roads.
Is it going to be on sewer or septic?
Oh gosh, I'm pretty sure that would be on sewer. I don't know that 100% because that's ECU, but I would expect that what they're developing there would have to be sewer.
What are they going to develop?
Well, it's multi-use, so you're going to have commercial, you're going to have housing in there. So there's a lot of different things. There's some, obviously they want jobs out there that can help, the economic boom in Escambia County. So we'll see where we go. But they've had a good history of bringing in jobs at some of the other projects they've
But
done.
we don't know exactly what type of commercial
No.
entities they're going to
No, we don't.
Do we know what type of housing they're going to have?
Mixed use. There'll be some condos. I believe there's a small amount a small amount of single family, but a lot of it's like condos, mixed use in there, and just a little bit. There wasn't much, I don't think, on single family in there, but there will be some housing in that development there.
What about
And-
another school? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, well, that was originally talked about, and then the school board had bought some property pretty close to there, so I don't think there's going to be a school in there
Okay.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they made other plans. They couldn't wait. They
They
just had
couldn't
to.
wait, and there's a lot of growth in Beulah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I think that the school board, and you'd be better to ask them, but they bought
Yeah.
some property down the road. I think they're going to build a school.
Well, that's exciting. I can't wait to see the final outcome. I'm pretty sure it's going
Can't
to
believe we
be.
got it to
Yeah.
where it is today. It's a very big
Uh-huh.
one for the county and the citizens of the county.
Because it's just going to be all brand new and sparkly and very
Yeah.
nice to begin with.
Well, and then you got the interchange that's right there
Uh-huh.
that
Yeah.
is being developed that Senator Broxton worked real hard on, and the TPO, and so that'll be a good inlet to that development as well as that comes together.
Mhm.
So,
I'm sure there's going to be more lights on the road now. So they did widen that road a few, like a
Oh, it's a
number of years
4-lane,
ago.
yeah.
So it is a highway.
yeah.
So it's 4-lane highway. Traffic, I'm sure, is going to be a little more constant and steady. But
9 Mile already has quite a bit of traffic, so I
Oh.
don't think that will be
but
much
that's
different.
stretch.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Cantonment, and
Oh, so
that
you're familiar.
stretch in Beulah was desolate. Nothing. If you passed another car, you were like, "Wow, there's a lot of traffic." I mean,
It's changed.
oh yeah,
It's
progress.
definitely changed. Yeah, it's amazing how well there's not much development. You have to go north. Can't go on the east side. It's pretty much developed. City doesn't have many parcels.
Oh,
There's a
yeah,
little bit
nothing.
on the very little on the west side. We don't have a lot either. We have a little bit of development going in, so it's pretty much going north.
Yeah.
So
Sure is.
yeah.
So, what about? So I know that at some point there was talk of an industrial
Park.
section. Yeah. An
Yeah,
industrial
there's a
park.
small area in there that was, and you probably heard there was a lot of concern about an Amazon warehouse at one time.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
Thank
Because they were
goodness.
worried about, they're worried about truck traffic going in and out
Right.
around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I think that the folks that are development now have listened to the community, and they know the type of commercial and industrial that would be tolerable for the community.
Gotcha.
So they've done a lot of work out there with the citizens of Beulah. So I was surprised at the last meeting that only 6 of them came to voice, and most of them were very positive.
Right.
And I've been there. I don't think there's been one single topic in the time I've been a commissioner that has had more discussion than out in Beulah.
Yeah.
So
So it's such a huge area of land, 540 acres.
Sure.
It's just giant. So I hope that they plant some trees and make it have a beautification process,
all that's
because
in there.
part of it really could be like a natural park, maybe a park or just a natural preserve.
Well, I don't know if you know, Navy Federal has an absolutely
They did a good
beautiful
job.
park that butts up right to where Olaf 8 will be developed.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's one of the it may be the nicest park in the county.
They did a
So-
nice job with all
Yeah.
the trees that they planted in
Right.
the parking lot area. They really did a good job
I
there.
mean, they got basketball courts out there. They got a
Yeah.
pavilion. They got. I mean, it's just really beautiful.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Playground.
So we'll see what happens there. There's going to be some green space in there as well.
Yeah.
So we'll see as it comes together. But it's very something to look forward to.
It'll be interesting to see it all develop. So now, what is the future of HRC? I know that's kind of a big generalized
I don't know if
question, but
So Human Relations Commission. So I don't know. Did you see our last meeting? There was a lot of concern about it going away. Let me kind of explain how we got here. Okay.
Okay.
So the clerk had done an audit that was she sent over to me and the county administrator and attorney in February. And there were issues in the audit that, there were some concerns on
Sure.
some of the board administration, and in the totality of it, you could have said maybe this could have been fixed, but there were some recommendations at the time that maybe it should be dissolved and put underneath the county.
Gotcha.
So the county administrator went out and put a portal up, underneath neighborhood services. But that was never the intent. The intent was to also have like a person to be a warm touch. Yesterday, I met with several of the black leaders in Escambia County. Marcel Davis, Elson Bennett, Arnethia, Charles was there,
Okay.
Brian Wire, and we had a good discussion about this. And I made a commitment that we would make sure that those services were housed with a body in some sort of area under the county. I don't know where the right fit is. It may be under the county administrator. It could be under neighborhood services. We'll have further discussion on that, but we definitely are going to do that. That organization has been historically low income, but I would say outlet for low income black folks to have a voice. And so they.
Is it in District 3?
It's no, it
No,
represents
your district.
It represents the
Oh,
whole
all
county.
districts. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, so I think that's why some of the folks that came down the other night had concern that they felt like a historic organization was being dissolved and it wouldn't be there. But that we weren't giving them honestly that much money from the county. It was about $125,000. They got money from some other sources, but the thing is now we can do it cheaper. I think a little bit more oversight in the county and still meet the same functions and probably do it better, honestly. And I made a commitment if we can't do it and it doesn't succeed, I'd be willing to look at it down the road. Maybe.
Well, what exactly does it do? What are some of the functions?
They have some of the functions that fall. You would say it's in my thinking of it. So equal employment opportunity or fair housing. They have some of the same functions that some of those other entities would have.
Okay.
So there's a cross-pollination.
So they work with people. They work with
people, people that are in hardship, people that need some help.
Yeah, well, that sounds important.
It is important. And we have other services, but a lot of times people just don't know where to go to get help.
Right.
And so the HRC was one of those organizations that helped some of the most neediest people in the county.
Okay.
So we're not going to get rid of it. We have with the HRC, the way it looks today may not look the same way it's going to look after December 31st, but the functionality of it, my goal is to make it better. So, and I think that's the board's.
And it's just collaboration with the people, right? With the
Well, they
people
have an advisory board, and the current chair, it was Commissioner May. He stepped down, and then Brian Wire took over, and then Al Henderson was the director for it. And I don't know who will get hired by the county. I can't get involved with that. That's the county administrator.
And they get together and they manage all the functions and all the different
yes, and that was
services.
There was some questions
Like all
in
the services
audit
that they
about the
offer.
workload and things. So that was one of the things, if we brought it underneath the county, like a community redevelopment agency that reaches into some of our lower income neighborhoods, that we could have a greater marketing campaign of the services as well.
Okay. So they work with families, like helping families do.
Anyone. It doesn't have to be a family. Children, low income, and basically they're a conduit to make sure that people are treated fairly and equally, and have access to all the services that they are entitled to as a citizen of the county. So that's kind of their function. Is it people who have jobs and families and houses, but they just need help in some areas? Or I'm not probably the right person to talk about the demographics of their clientele.
The minute details of the whole service.
Demographics, but they're predominantly low income individuals. That just need some assistance to and are treated fairly. So I know from what I was told or heard at the hearing, that basically the demographics they're not people that are above the median income, right? They're very low income people that need help. So, and an advocate to kind of guide them through some of the stuff to have a better life.
Absolutely. So now Baptist Hospital is kind of a hot topic right now.
Yeah, it sure
I was born there.
Yeah, I did.
I wanted to have David there, but that didn't happen because he was early. So they shipped me over to Sacred Heart.
Oh, so you had him in your
shipped
car
over.
or what?
I got shipped over, boy, quick too.
Oh, really?
But so It's just nostalgic to me, I guess, because I was born probably at the old hospital, and it was probably before the two towers were even built. And I don't know what year they were built. But is the building just in disrepair? Like it can't be used for anything else? It has to be demolished? And I just saw on social media that Lumen May is going to do something with at least one of the buildings. Or
We could talk just about Baptist for an hour, okay? So
I know, right? Yeah.
the Baptist, okay, I was on the health authority, when they came in for the bonds for Baptist Hospital, and they were eligible to finance up to $925 million. They didn't finance that much. Yeah, it was a lot. And they
to renovate the building or what?
A lot of different projects Baptist had in the pipeline. It didn't matter if it was Gold Breeze, Marino, J. That you could read through the Schedule 1 and the bond thing, but they ended up not financing that amount.
Yeah.
They had a Series A's bond which was under $600 million, and then the 67 and the Series B was taxable bonds, and that went predominantly for the new campus. But excuse me. But when they came to the health authority, the assumption was they were going to sell that property to a developer,
right?
And then pay off some of the bond debt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that changed, so they didn't get the property sold. They sold a small piece to Pace Group for under $3 million, and then they went to the state, and the city got involved in a good way, but it changed the
dynamics of the entire
whole deal, right? So the state said we'll put in $7 million for the demolishment. They got like I said, I think it was 2.8 or 2.9 from Pace. Baptist put in $3 million. That is in what we call a community redevelopment agency. Okay, it's called West Side under the city. And the city CRAs are managed different than the county CRAs. 95% of that their CRAs goes back into that area, where in the county it's 75%. So any money that comes in future from millage tax on that will go back into that area. So they came to the county and they wanted $2 million. The county never agreed to $2 million. That's what the city asked for in a letter the mayor gave to us. The city's put in $1 million in the CRA, and $400,000 has already been committed. I'm not exactly what that money went for, but $1 million's coming out of that CRA. I don't think, as of today, there's 3 votes to give $2 million on the board, because I've made a commitment to Senator Brox that I'd do something, but I think right now a Baptist probably needs to look at our last meeting. We had a discussion of everyone go back and see what we can do, and we have some environmental assessment money that we can contribute. We can't take it out of the general fund. And I'll tell you why. There's no way I'm not going to give the county employees a raise for
is it a
corporate
done
abatement.
deal? The buildings are going to be demolished.
The
old building and the 2 towers.
Yep, they're going to be
demolished.
and they're putting in they're going to do mixed use housing in there, and redevelop that area, and they want to put a school in there. They had a group go over to New Orleans and look at a modeled area. The name
How
of
many
it's something
acres is it on? Do you know? I guess
That's
it's just
a good
on
question.
one.
I don't
It's
know off
on
the top
one
of my
city block,
Yes,
basically.
yes.
What about the buildings around it that were owned by Baptist?
Well, Lakeview's still going to be there.
Okay.
They sold off Lakeview and Baptist split when they
Okay.
did the bond agreement. But Lakeview, and actually in the bond deal, that there was up to $10 million contributed to do improvements to Lakeview.
Okay. Because that building's kind of old too, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's a little bit older. And then you look across the street where they had the mental health inpatient.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. And then they have those buildings around the back where Reap's at, and so I'm not sure what the plan is for all that. But you're right. There's other buildings around that area.
But they're going to stay.
I don't want to say. I don't know.
We don't know
I don't
yet.
know
Okay.
That. Yeah. But the crux of where we're at right now is they're saying that if the county doesn't give up $2 million, the project dies, and I just don't think the majority of us on the board agree to that after the last meeting.
So that's going to postpone demolishment?
That's what they're saying, but
Okay.
I don't believe that to be true.
How much is it total to demolish it?
Well,
is it going to cost?
that's a whole nother. Okay, there were multiple bids that came in. the city independently without, and you could say maybe the county didn't get with the city didn't get with the county. I know Baptist wanted to be part of the bid process, but the city went forward and picked 5 bids. Well, from basically 10.6 million to 19 million.
Okay.
They originally took
So basically 10 to 20 million.
yeah. But they originally took a bid for 14.4, then there was a protest on it. And then they took North Star that was 13.6, I believe, or 13.3 or 13.6. And that's where they are today. Now,
Okay.
they haven't signed into a contract according to the mayor.
Okay, because they don't have the 13 million.
No, they actually have.
They're still trying
well,
to get it.
there's other
I mean, they
costs.
might have it, but they're still trying to get it.
They need just under 16 million. So even though the contract bid was 13.3, there was another 2.9. So it's right under 16 million
Gotcha.
that they're saying they need for other costs, project manager, other things that
Makes
they
sense.
they
Yeah.
identified in their brief. But that's kind of what they say they need to go forward with the project. So
Okay.
so they have right now, they have between the 3 million from Baptist, the 2.8 from Pace, the 1 million, they've got right under 14 million, right? So
Okay,
they say
so
they
they
need
still
the
need
2
to-
million from the county, or it's going to fall apart. Now
Okay.
I just don't believe that. I think we can get to
So-
yes, and I think the mayor's looking at options. The county is. I just don't think that the county's going to be willing to put in more money.
Do
than
they
the
already
city.
have a contract with a developer?
Well, the mayor said the other day they have till they're supposed to close at the end of July with an extension, I believe, till the end of September. So we have a few months to figure this out.
Okay, so not really.
And-
They don't have a contract.
They don't have a contract yet. He has to go into negotiations by the end of July, to my understanding, with a 60-day extension that they can ask for.
Okay.
So
So we'll know the master plan because the county has that, and the city people who live here have to have some input on what's going to go in over there.
well, those buildings,
sure
like
that
literally right after they moved out, became uninhabitable. That was kind of interesting, but that's what they said. There is, from my understanding, some asbestos.
But as far as what will go in there, as far as
that'll be a
master
city
plan.
project, and
Just like OLF8.
yeah, that'll be a city project, and people that live in the city, I'm hoping they'll have input on that. I'm sure the mayor will have many charrettes and conversations about the development of it, but that we're not there yet. Now, what I have committed to the mayor is that we were to go back, and that I will bring this up in July, and I think they have a meeting next week with our administration to look at options of what we can put forward. He's looking at, and I think Baptist needs to be in that meeting too. I'm not sure if they are, but they need to be at the meeting too, because it's their property. And I mean, we don't do this for anyone else. We don't abate other people's property. We put a lien on it.
Right.
And a lot of people have a problem with that. It's not just Commissioner Kohler. A lot of people think that Baptist should have taken care of the property without the taxpayer funds.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So either way, I mean, I get what the mayor's trying to do.
It was a private hospital, right?
Yeah, not a profit, but
Yeah.
but they do make a lot of profit.
So yeah, so they should have taken care of it all themselves.
We wouldn't do it for Patty Shipyard. We wouldn't do it for a mom and pop shop.
Right.
So I mean, and then here's my problem with it. If I can't not get county employees not a raise to do a bailout, it's just not going to happen. And I think other commissioners feel the same way. So
Good.
we've got to figure out a creative way to give some money and help them out. And I think the mayor gets the general fund problem, because I'm sure he has the same issues as well.
Well, so I want to talk to you about the Gulf of America
Oh,
and the Pensacola Beach sign, but first we need to take a commercial break.
okay.
So the Thornton Review is a civic engagement show with a purpose to spread awareness by interviewing local elected officials, candidates, and professional leaders. This is information you won't get anywhere else. You can watch the Thornton Review on our various outlets. Our website, thethorntonreview.com. On Vimeo, please follow the Thornton Review. On YouTube, please subscribe to the Thornton Review at the Thornton Review 7810. Please like our Facebook page, the Thornton Review Show. On TV, channels WBQP 12.1 and 12.8, and WBQP on Roku and Fire Stick. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Commissioner Mike Kohler, Escambia County District 2. There is no government-funded program that can guide a man's thoughts. Only God can do that. Company can install any type of fence. When you call and mention the Thornton Review, you'll receive a $100 discount on your fence. They also offer military discounts. Vinyl fence, wood fence, aluminum fence, chain link fence. If it has the word fence, Alpha Fence Company can do it. 850-586-8020. 850-586-8020. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to continue our discussion with Commissioner Mike Kohler, District 2, Escambia County. So, Mike, President Trump changed the name of the Gulf to the Gulf of America, which I think half of America loves or is indifferent to, and the other half just hates it.
I think in Escambia County it's probably 75-25, honestly,
Yeah.
from the feedback I've gotten.
Yeah.
So,
well, how did the change on the sign come about? I was proud of you for that, by the way. I mean, I know how it came about, but can you tell us the story about?
well, obviously President Trump signs an executive order, but that executive order affects federal property. So that wasn't a reason that I would have changed it, even though I supported it. But then Governor DeSantis signed an executive order, and that is in the state, and we only work for the governor can fire us or the voters. So he said it was the Gulf of America, even though I supported President Trump's initiative and also the governor. So at that time, I went to the county administrator and I said, we got to change the sign.
Right.
And he was receptive to it. And because being the chair and it was under $50,000, the county administrator can do it independently. And so he went out and priced it. It was $2,600. And and we were able to do it very quickly.
Yeah.
And the feedback was, I would say, like I said, 75-25 in favor. And then we also changed all of our ordinances that had Gulf of Mexico. I don't know if you picked up on that. On the last board meeting, we voted 4-1 to change all the ordinances that were affected historically in the county that had Gulf of Mexico. Now they're Gulf of America.
Good. Yeah.
So we honored that. I personally don't have a problem with the word America. I actually kind of like it. So it wasn't that big of a deal to me, but.
Well, you got North America and South America. You know,
Yeah.
why not Gulf of America?
And most, like I said, I have not, very little pushback on that. I've got much more positive feedback on that. And so but I will tell you this, Pueschel, if another governor came in, Molly Barrows asked me this and said, if a governor came in and said an executive order is going to be Gulf of whatever, I would feel compelled to honor that. I think we have to live in a law. We got to live in honor,
Well,
the
Mexico is part of Central America.
law. Right.
So they're in America. They're just not in the United States of America.
Sure, I understand.
And I think that's what people, that obviously they see it as, the Gulf of the United States of America. But you have North America, Central America, and South America. So we have the Americas. And Gulf of America is just the most fitting. It may not be the historical name, and a lot of people don't want to change history, but it is a more fitting name. And I think that part of the reason that President Trump decided to do that, it was because Mexico wasn't being a good neighbor.
Oh yeah, with their immigration policy.
With their immigration policy and all of the illegal aliens coming across the border, that's not being a good neighbor. They need to close the border on their side and prevent their people from coming over. And they need to close their southern border and prevent the people that they don't want in their country coming into their country to begin with, and then traveling through to our country. So they need to be a good neighbor, and they need to close their borders. They need to keep their people in. If people want to come over legally and do it the right way and get a job and raise a family, they are so welcome here.
Yeah.
I
I
am
think
all
everyone's
for-
for legal immigration.
Yeah,
It's the illegal immigration where millions of people are taking up, social services. You've got people that are criminals. You've got, and no one's saying all the people that came here are that, but the problem is they didn't come here legally,
right.
and we have to be a nation of laws. And it was, you're right, the change in the presidency that slowed down almost immediately, and so kudos to the president for taking the lead on that,
Yeah.
and it'll make America safer.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he won. I mean,
Oh,
a lot of
yes.
independents, that was overwhelming what was going on, and
Absolutely.
I think a lot of folks just said we got to have a safe, secure country.
President Trump just has common sense policy ideas.
Yep.
Secure the border, support law and order, just secure, domestic tranquility. We need, the riots that just happened are ridiculous. It's against the law to do that. It
Oh, you're
made,
talking LA?
yeah, it made
Yeah.
January 6th look like a lemonade stand. There, the fires, the throwing rocks at cars, throwing.
No, we can't have violence.
Right.
Everyone was for peaceful protest, but when violence gets in there and you're hurting law enforcement and you're attacking ICE and you're doing,
And they're waving Mexican flags,
yeah,
which, when you wave a flag, when you establish a flag, that means that you've conquered and taken over.
yeah, it's
So
a
that-
symbolism.
Yeah, it's a symbolism, and it's a war crime to me. You can't burn down a city and
No,
wave
I
wave
don't
the
like
flag
the
from
images
another
of it.
country.
I was, as you know, I was in the Navy for 33 years, and I believe in the ability to voice your opinion, even opinions I don't agree with. But
Right.
I totally do
But
not
the
like-
only flag that can be flown in America, as far as establishing territory, is the American
Oh,
flag.
absolutely.
And they're raising the Mexican flag as if they have established territory.
Right.
That is that's a war act. You can't do that. They're saying that they've come in and they've taken over.
Yeah.
So I think that President Trump had every right to send out the National Guard, because they're like, basically, by doing what they did, they are basically establishing a war.
Well, I do not want violence in the streets. I do not want burning, and we have to expect our law enforcement, our military, our National Guard, when these situations get like this, they have to come in and protect and preserve the property of the mass of citizens that pay for this stuff and deserve that. And that's, I have no problem with that, and I think the masses in the United States want to feel safe and secure.
I appreciate your input on that.
Yeah.
And your changing of the name. Did the old sign say Gulf of Mexico? It said "Welcome to the Gulf of Mexico."
Yeah.
Or that,
Yeah,
so
it
that
said
verbiage
Go
was on it.
Mexico. We changed it. We changed it to red, white, and blue, and put America up
Yeah.
there. But it,
I like
it
that.
was. I had nothing to do with the design. The county administrator, and because it's in Commissioner Hoffberger's district, she had some input. But I'm fine. I think it looks great. But I was the one that pushed West to get it changed as quickly after the governor signed the executive order.
Because it's such an iconic sign also.
Oh, I know.
That sign has been there all my life.
50s.
Well,
It came up in the 50s.
in the 50s, yeah. And it is very retro,
Yeah, it's a neat. It has that old stardust kind of.
Definitely has a 50s vibe. Although the sign that's currently there is new. They replaced the
3
old
times, I believe, it's
sign.
been replaced. I could be wrong on that, but I think because of storms, it's been replaced 3 times.
Yeah. But they've kind of kept that iconic feel to it, which I
Oh.
really appreciate. I'm so glad that it hasn't just completely changed.
Yeah. it's
Now,
awesome.
so they're talking about putting another Pensacola Beach sign on Pensacola Beach. And I've seen so many renditions of what it could be, and I don't really like any of them.
You're not alone.
I saw one that I liked that, and I can't specifically remember. I think it was green or kind of an aqua color, and it said "Welcome to Pensacola Beach" on it, and it looked like it was engraved in the metal, like holes in the middle for the letters, but it was kind of plain. Like another one that I saw had palm trees on it, the blue angels flying over it, a dolphin jumping out of it, and the welcome to Pensacola. It looked very cartoonish.
A lot
And
of
I
people-
don't want anything to look cartoonish. Like I'd rather it be classy and elegant
Right. You know, I
and
I haven't paid
sophisticated
that
and
much attention on it because it'd been a discussion I'd been with the state legislature for funds. That gateway sign is what we're calling it. Is two phases and is around 1.6 million. The whole project's a little under 10 million. But Pueschel, you know, I know Commissioner Hofberger, that's her district, but we all use the beach, and honestly, we've been getting a lot of negative emails, all the commissioners on it. With the county had put out a
like, is it really necessary? Is
well,
probably
that's
the big
it.
question.
Like what you said, it looks, the font's not
Cartoony.
right. They don't like the way the design looks. And
Yeah.
you're going to get some of that.
They've got, yeah, the beach ball, the blue angels, the dolphin. I mean, the palm trees. It's way too much. It needs to be simple and elegant if they do it. It just needs to be.
And then, you know, heard some people say, we have an iconic sign. Why don't we
Right.
take the toll booths out, make this beautiful view, and put like a really neat messaging board that would be functionality with a facade that would mirror whatever the people wanted, and then that would be like kind of like what we did at the back gate of the base. Wes had brought this up. We have an awesome messaging board out there that has NES Pensacola on it. It cost us $360,000. And
That's a lot cheaper too.
lot
That would
cheaper.
satisfy anybody who's.
and not, you know,
Saying
you could
it's just
say
too much money.
what the conditions on the beach are, Happy Memorial Day, whatever you wanted to put up there. At casino parking lots full, go down here to park. It has a lot more informational.
That's probably a good idea. If people
Well-
could see a presentation, see what you're talking about, you know, because visual aesthetics is very important.
Yeah, and I don't know how. Honestly, I don't know how bought in Commissioner Hofberger is into one of these designs. I'll find out at our next meeting.
Yeah.
But I know she's getting some of the same feedback I am, so I think we
Good.
probably need to have a further discussion on the way ahead on
I'm
that.
not against this, you know, having a welcome to Pensacola Beach sign,
Right.
but it just has to look a certain way in order
Well,
to satisfy me.
It's
you know,
overwhelming that people are not happy with the current designs, and what
I
you
could
know-
design something and present it to you.
Well, maybe that's the thing. Maybe we should go out and get a few artists and
Yeah.
people to present, and then have people vote on those. And I know they put the vote on those three, but it
Are
did seem
they-
like they liked them.
Are you talking to the same company that did the Pensacola Beach sign?
No,
a different
this,
sign
this
company?
is a we didn't elect
different-
any artists. I'm trying to think of who the
Because the
The
company that
vendor
did the
was.
Pensacola Beach sign, I'll bet you could do a really good job on, because I know them. I went to church with them.
who
I've
is
been
that?
a family.
I don't know who that is.
The Navarros.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Uh-huh.
So, well, it's going to be a topic for discussion on the 20th. And I honestly don't, I can't talk to other commissioners, but I definitely am going to ask that we reevaluate, because the feedback, at least in my opinion, has not been very
I've
positive.
seen so many of them though. I don't know if people are doing it
Well, I
with
think
AI
now
on their
people are
computer.
throwing everything out there.
Oh,
So we only had 3 signs out there. There were like 2 beach balls, one with the color, one orange, and then
ugh.
was it the dolphins?
Ugh.
And I don't even. Well, I think like 3,800 people responded, and there was some. This is on the county site,
Yeah.
but you couldn't actually, without liking one, you couldn't put input. So some people would like one and then put input. So I think the county could have done that a little better too.
Yeah.
So we learned we made some mistakes. We got to own it, right? And I think my
Well,
recommendation.
I'd like
is,
to give input to, so I'll just get in touch with y'all individually.
Yeah. Well, you can anyone can send District 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
Yeah.
at escambia.com.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been sending us stuff. So to all the commissioners. So I know the other commissioners are getting these emails as well. So yeah, it's funny. I did an interview yesterday with Channel 3, and that was one of the comments is that they'd heard there was a lot of negativity on the design.
Yeah.
But I could see that if it was close, but it's tilted too far that people want something different.
Yeah.
So-
Good. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
You're not.
I'm glad I'm part of the majority on that, because I really just thought that would be a mistake to put something that looked like that on Pensacola Beach. It's
Yeah.
just not fitting. it would just kind of stand out on like, really?
Yeah, I get it. A lot of people, and then they're saying, well, it's there, it's a beautification thing, but what
But
else
it's
does
not
it really
beautiful.
offer?
But it's not beautiful.
Well, that's up to the
It's
individual
cartoon.
interpretation. But
That's
you're right.
true. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
true.
mean, but you're right. I will not. You are absolutely in the majority. I've heard it from enough people. I get it. They don't like the design, so we need to go back to the drawing board and see. Now I don't know where the board will be on it. We'll find out on the 20th. So, but yeah, that's gonna be my recommendation.
So I wanted to talk to you about the budget, the community support funds, and the discretionary funds.
Okay, so
And I know that's kind of three different topics. So
next year's budget's gonna be 824 million. Our last year's was 798. So that's a good increase. Now we as you know, we have to pay the sheriff's department 6% more. We're hiring more deputies, 80 a year for the next 3 years, which was really good for the county and the sheriff's department. I appreciated working with Chip Simmons on that, the sheriff, and then obviously there's that just natural growth with what we have to pay is going to be 2 to 3% with the CPI. But so budget wise, I think if you look at our budget, and I think people, the city's budget for 55,000 last year was 311. Ours was 798 for the 334,000 people. So I think sometimes people don't realize how fiscally responsible the county is. When you look at, we have to manage the jail, the animal shelter, the ECAT will subsidize, the base center, all the functions that you have to do with road improvements that we put into every year, parks and rec. All the constitutionals fall underneath that, that we have to pay. And most of that, when you look at public safety, I know there were some numbers thrown out. We put over a third of the budget into public safety, not including correctional officers, to firefighters, EMS, and sheriff's department. And then of course we've hired more paramedics. I don't know if you've known that, 10 more of those. And so we're doing a lot of things. And actually, I don't know if you saw a couple meetings back, we voted to bring in 4 new firehouses across the county. So that will come out. Those will come out of lost dollars. We need the MSBU, which that in itself, municipal service benefit unit. We pay for the employees in the fire department. That has not went up in a decade in the county. You're in the city, so you're under a different fire
are there
assessment.
a lot of volunteer firefighters?
Not so much anymore. That used to be a thing, but people just don't want to work for not being paid. And honestly, we need.
I would think it'd be
24/7
like younger
coverage.
guys that just want
That
experience
used to
doing
be
something.
very prominent. I think when I talked to, there's only I don't even think there's 5 left in the county now.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's.
But if they want to, is it open to volunteer training?
It's pretty much rural, out in the rural part of the county.
Okay.
We have some, but anywhere inside where there's any, because you have to have 24/7 just for the EM. A lot of times the fire department's there before EMS can get there.
Yeah.
So we
Right.
they have to have certain skills that we
Right.
need just to do basic EMT.
Yeah.
So
Well, I don't think it'd be a bad idea to have volunteers. Maybe it's because people don't even know that in the past there were a lot of volunteer firefighter. Like it used to all just be volunteer.
oh yeah,
And then over the years,
I'll ask Chief Harrison that. That's a good question.
because you could advertise to like high schools and the colleges or
We want to build a fire
young
academy
people.
like the Sheriff's Academy
yeah.
to recruit
Yeah.
young men and women that can meet the physical standards.
And they could volunteer and get on the job training,
So
and
like
it's
the
not gonna
Blazer
cost-
Academy that the
Yes.
sheriff has that recruits a lot of those folks come in and work for the sheriff's department after that.
Yep.
That's exactly what Chief Harrison's working to do for the fire in the county.
Yeah. I think that would be a great,
We're moving
because it
down-
would
we're
get
moving
young
that way.
men, young men who maybe don't know what they want to do,
Yeah.
and they hear, oh, you can become a, volunteer firefighter, get on the job training, and then possibly get a position
Sure.
in the,
And we did
I'll bet
increase our
you they just don't know about it anymore. It's not a thing anymore. And so they just don't know.
You want to know the truth? We don't have any problem hiring firefighters. We're manned, according to what Chief Harris told me, 100%. So, you know, that doesn't mean we won't need more
Right.
as we expand firehouses like the one that they want to put out in Beulah that we need.
But
We
it's
want-
also like just a community thing, just to let young men know that there's something that
Oh,
you
it's
can do.
absolutely.
There are
And it's good
options
public
to do
service.
with your life.
Yep.
You can start by volunteering at the fire department.
I
That's
have
just
no
my
problem with
thinking.
that.
Yeah.
You know, I'll ask Chief Harrison if we do. I know that the fire academy would have been that route to kind of recruit people that we're working towards, but
Right.
I don't know. I also know he told me there was less than 5 volunteer fire departments, so that's a good question, Pueschel. I'll find out what the way ahead is to make sure that people know that that's an option. It's great to have local people that serve in their communities too.
Absolutely.
You know, that want to have these jobs and they can make a living and support a family and so I think that's really important, and the public respects firefighters too.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. Oh yeah, we're very appreciative.
yeah.
If
So,
anybody knows anybody who's ever been in need, then obviously, we're glad that they're there when they're needed. Hopefully they never will be needed. But
they're needed more often than you think. That's the thing. So we need a robust paramedic, EMS team, EMT team, and fire team, because they work. A lot of times they'll kind of do the front load before the paramedics and EMTs get there,
yeah.
and so
And firefighters are trained in EMS and like they know.
we don't have that many firefighters that are paramedics. We do have a few, but they're all of them are
They're
EMT.
Yeah, they're trained. They know just the very basics.
Yeah, but like for
Because-
example, if you're hemorrhaging,
Oh,
and you
right.
have someone there that can put a tourniquet on before you exsanguinate and die.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Before life flight gets there.
Yeah.
So every time we called the ambulance numerous times for my grandfather when he was aging before he passed away. And every single time we called, the fire department came first.
Yeah.
They got there first. And they were always very helpful. And they obviously know basics of
Yes.
survival, I guess, keeping people alive until the paramedics get there.
Yeah.
So that's,
Well, your second
They do a
of
lot
your
of-
question was on community support funds and discretionary
Yes.
stuff. So
that's a big one.
so here's what kind of happened. So the clerk kind of, well, she didn't kind of, she basically didn't like the way discretionary funds were being spent, and she had a good point. There were some do we need to, the discretionary funds were being spent. So, and she kind of put a halt to it. And so we came back, and the county staff and myself went back. We changed it to community support funds, and then we put together a policy that would hopefully mirror what the clerk wants to meet the justification for the funds to be distributed. We haven't at this point. I don't think anyone's actually put anything forward. Each commissioner, and this has been historic, gets $50,000 a year in community support funds to allocate now, hopefully in the way that the clerk wants. So that's where we are with that.
So what about your discretionary funds?
Well, that's kind of what I was
Part
saying.
of it.
So discretionary funds are now under what we call community support funds, and we changed that so that the
Oh.
justification for when a commissioner puts in for something, that there's a community need, and our legal department, based on the input from the clerk, we're trying to make sure that we're answering any of these funds, so that if commissioner puts them in, that the clerk can be okay with them being paid out. So she's just tightened things up a little bit.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for having me on the show.
You're welcome. I always enjoy it.
Coming on the show. And I always enjoy having you on. I always enjoy conversations with you because you're just a plethora of knowledge on the county, and your heart is in it. So I'm glad that you were elected. I hope that you win the next election.
Next year.
Yeah, coming up
Hard to
quick,
believe
huh?
It's been 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have my full support
Well,
because
thank
your
you.
heart is in it, and you are making the right decisions
I feel
for
like
the
we're
community.
making change, and I love making change locally. I really, it makes you feel good when you go down
Right.
the road and you see something. It's like, man, that
And you
changed for the
see
better.
positive
It really
change,
does.
absolutely.
So it's rewarding in that aspect.
Well, the Thornton Review is on the air to provide public service awareness and intellectual infrastructure to our community. This show is made possible by Ida Gates, Godly Teas LLC, Alpha Fence Company, and our guest, Commissioner Mike Kohler, Escambia County District 2. We want to thank you for watching this episode of the Thornton Review. Bye-bye.